Hello everyone, I'm Ferdi Salvador. Join us in unlocking the tricks of the trade here on Trade Talks. Let's get down to business. If you want to succeed in your business venture, do not just start one enterprise, start dozens. That's exactly what the Foodee Global Concepts did. And now it has become one of the country's largest multi-brand lifestyle F&B groups. Founded by the Mr. Enrico Dee, the company operates and franchises more than 100 restaurants nationwide. Let's welcome to the show this morning the children of Mr. Dee and two of the key players in the Foodee Global Concepts Corporation, Mr. Eric and Erica Dee.
Hi,
Hello.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much
morning,
for joining me.
Thank you.
And this is amazing. I really wanted to talk to the both of you because, of course, with your parents as well. But you have really inspired me. I mean, your parents are buddies of mine, but we've never spoken about business with our long relationship, okay? Which is a funny thing. I think I only spoke to you. Normally, I spoke to you about business and what's going on in the industry. But helping your parents take over the helm is very important. So have you realized that you are the second generation from the establishing generation to continue the business? Eric?
I think I grew up in the industry. So I always tell the story that I literally grew up in a restaurant. So my parents were...
You did?
Our parents were, I think, 19 when I was born. So
Yes.
when they started that business, I was already exposed to the restaurants. For me, it felt natural.
Yes.
Even through college, I was working as a waiter in the US. And it felt very good, right? I felt at home whenever I was at a restaurant. I ended up handling a hotel in Kuala Lumpur as well, so still back into F&B. And it felt very natural for me to be in a restaurant. So when I had to take on the role, it felt like it was meant for me.
Yes, and what is your current position?
So I'm currently the COO of Foodee Global Concepts.
COO of the Foodee Global Concepts.
Correct.
What about you, Erica? I know you also grew up in the restaurant.
Yes. So
were you like your brother?
yeah. So everyone, I think, was prepared to kind of take over the family business as well. So even as I was in college, I was opening my own shop in Ateneo. So I ran my own restaurant as well in Ateneo.
Really?
Yeah. While
you were a working student basically.
Yeah. So my parents stopped giving me allowances because they knew I was making so much money in my restaurant. So
Would you like to give me allowance as well?
so it was inside Ateneo, and
Okay.
we were record breaking in sales as well.
Wow. But I mean, it's difficult to operate a single enterprise. I mean, they say, I forget the statistics, but let's just say 70% of F&B entrepreneurs don't make it. Only 30% make it. That's not the real data, but I'm just putting it out there because, it's a tough industry.
Yeah.
And that's only one restaurant that people open. You guys operate dozens. How do you manage that? Erica?
Okay, so actually, for me, handling multiple businesses is the same as handling one business.
Wow, that's interesting.
The backbone is the same. Your focus is the same, so higher sales, of course, lower costs. But for me, even a more scalable brand is actually better because you're able to kind of spread out your fixed costs. So you're able to have a bigger team who can help you out. So I think for me, it's better to handle multiple businesses. Yeah.
Yes, and what position do you hold now?
So right now I'm the COO of Yao Yao Philippines.
Of Yao Yao,
I'm
okay.
also the COO of Foodlink Group of Companies. So that's the fast food brands in all of the OG brands.
The OG brands.
Yes.
Okay, so
in all of the food courts.
which
basically
are
in the malls.
which is your foundation?
Yes, where we all
founding
Where it all
brands?
started.
Where we all started. So
What was the first restaurant that your parents put up?
So my parents had a restaurant in Pasay Road called Chin Chin.
Chin
So
Chin.
it was a more formal Laureate-style Chinese restaurant serving traditional Chinese food and live seafood.
Are any of them cooks?
None.
No.
So we just know how to
Eric
eat.
and Beng Dee, you have been outed.
None of them cook, but they know how to eat.
Okay.
So during that time, that was the first restaurant, and the story goes is that the late Henry C. Would always come to the restaurant. At that time, wala pang cell phone.
Yes.
So they would actually ask the assistant to call the restaurant to say, Mr. C's on his way home, can you keep the restaurant open? So he would come to the restaurant, and then story goes that he tells my father that he's opening SM North EDSA. And then
Back in the day.
That was back in the day. That was the first mall pa for SM.
Wow.
So
And that's
then that's
huge.
how it all started.
And that's how your relationship got,
Yes.
Yes.
got established or cemented
Yes.
with
Correct.
Mr.
So that's how
C's
it
group.
started when we started opening in all SM malls.
Yes, you have brought in several foreign franchises or brands to the Philippines.
Correct.
I think we're counting about 7.
Yes.
Around?
Yeah.
Around, give or take, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's the first time that your parents brought a foreign franchise to the country? Was it a gamble for them, or they knew that they're gonna make it?
It's always a gamble. It's always a gamble. You cannot really tell what will work and what won't. But you take calculated risks.
Okay.
Right? So,
For Yao Yao, how did you make
so
it?
for Yao Yao, well, it was easy for us to bring it in. Even if we're not into yogurt, we saw the lines, the long, long lines in Singapore, and you can't question success, right?
Yes.
So as long as the price points are right, and we believed in the taste profile, so we tried it out, and now we're at 100 stores.
100 stores. So in fact, then my data and my spiel a while ago was wrong because Yaya already has 100.
Yes.
How many total stores do you have?
Currently at our restaurant business, we have about 300 doors across over 15 brands. And then on our retail side also, we have another 300 stores also.
I apologize, guys. They have, give or take, about 800. Okay? That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But how do you calculate or figure out if a certain brand that you're looking at will make it in the Philippines? Like you said, a calculated risk. Does it start from the flavor or the lines? What is it? Or the trend, perhaps?
Go.
Okay, so first, of course, we only consider a brand if it's doing well in its origin country or
Yes.
other countries, right? And then, of course, we taste the product. And then after that, we are very particular with the price points. So I think in the Philippines, that's one of the key factors if you make it as well. You do your projections, you do your studies, you do your forecasts.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's really the customer that
not
dictates,
only
right?
that, I mean, you do your pricing sensitivities
Yes, yes.
in the country, but different regions have different price sensitivities, right? Some areas will accept
Correct.
prices and adjustments even 1 to 5 or 10 pesos. Some places, if you adjust 1 peso,
Super sensitive.
they're like, okay, what's happening here? We're not gonna go because they feel like it's a lot, right? But have you ever brought a brand, Eric, here that initially had poor reception?
Well, it's always a hit and miss, right? For us, we have a good batting average so far, so we're very happy with that. But of course,
I love that they're smiling because they know that their good batting average
batting
means
average.
it's 100%.
good batting average. But sometimes there are certain things that you're too early. The timing is not right. A story with Mesa is that when we started Mesa, it was actually meant to be grill on your table. Right?
Really?
And this was 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
It was
It was ihaw on
the
your table.
gyupsal,
Correct. Because the question
concept.
was, bakit the Japanese could have their
And the Koreans,
yakiniku, the Koreans could have it. Why not the Pinoys? We love to grill. And eventually we did that. So the concept was called La Mesa Grill.
So it's still happening.
So that was back 15
the
years ago. That was the
Filipino
first
market.
Mesa.
But why don't you bring that back?
So that's
Because-
what we're saying. That parang back then,
Is
it was
that is that breaking news, guys?
Yeah,
Are we bringing back?
coming soon. We're
Really?
bringing that because right now it's a perfect timing. Now it's like wow,
Everyone
an
wants it
activity,
again,
making
right?
it experiential.
Because I'm down with
Right?
that. I mean, I like.
Back then they were like, huh?
Too early.
Hilaw pa? Pwede luto na lang sa likod
Sa
and bring
loob.
it out. So we ended up scrapping the cooked on the tables. We just cooked everything from the back, same menu, and then we started bringing it out.
So it
But now
became-
we're reviving that. So
Yeah.
as far as failure is concerned, we felt that it was just not the right time.
I don't think it was a failure per se,
Yeah, yeah.
Eric. I think it's just an adjustment
Correct,
to people's
correct.
requirements.
So timing is very important, right? If the
Correct.
market is ready.
Correct.
Right? And of course, if your price points are always right. As you know, Philippines very sensitive.
Yeah, price
but we're
sensitive.
seeing now a little bit of switch in the buying of the Filipinos rather than
Yes.
eating more outside. They're now
Yes.
more, I'll eat 1 time this week rather than 3 times this week, but I'll eat quality.
Correct. Like I had that experience also. I opened a food chain.
Yeah.
Also from Singapore, but we were too early for the market.
Correct.
Right.
So
Correct.
unfortunately, we had, during the pandemic, it was a good exit plan already, but no heartaches.
A lot of factors
I
come
don't
into
cry
play, though.
anymore.
It's part of the fun. It's part of the
It
fun.
is part of the fun. But what other original concepts have you developed without your parents? I want to know.
Okay, so for me,
Erica.
I run the fast food division, right?
Yes.
So we started with Chins, which is a Chinese concept, and
The original.
yeah,
The
and
OG.
Inihao,
The
right?
original.
But of course, over the years, you have to kind of revamp your own brand,
Yes.
or else it will die, right? So I've come up with Kain, which is kind of still Inihao, but more styled and more menus as well.
More stepping up, more vibing.
Yes, right, for the market right now.
Yes.
And we've come up with a Korean concept as well because we've seen a increase in that market. In the fast food market, actually, everyone wants Korean. So we've built a Korean brand as well, which is a homegrown brand, basically. And of course, Mesa, right?
Yeah. So Mesa is homegrown, right?
Yes.
I guess the parents started it really from homegrown brands up until we were able to start bringing in brands.
Yes.
Right? Back then, it was like, okay, it was a bigger risk for us to bring in brands. We've never done it before. I think our first time to bring in a brand was back in 2012.
Which
Right?
was?
This was the Todd English Food Hall.
Yes, I
So
remember. That,
that
was
was-
a smashing success.
Yes.
That was in
yes.
2012. And
Yes.
I guess back then, it also started that food revolution.
But
we
that was a
felt.
big risk because
Exactly.
It was
I mean,
big.
It was 900 square meters.
it's
like,
huge
Yes.
in a mall
In a mall that just opened.
And obviously, I mean, the former brand
Yeah.
it's not well known in the
Correct,
Philippines
correct.
until
But it
you
worked
brought
here.
it in.
Yeah.
Exactly. But how did you feel about it? Did you tell your parents, hang on, that this is too much of a risk? Are you sure we can lose our shirt?
Well, exactly. But, having the support of the family in this family business has always given us the courage to move forward.
Yes, I want to
Right.
talk about that. How do you settle family disputes over business? I wouldn't say disputes, but concerns.
Well, operationally...
But before you answer that,
Go.
I like a cliffhanger.
Okay.
Trade Talks will be right back. We're going to take a short breather. We are back on Trade Talks, The High Life. We are still speaking with the people behind the Foodee Global Concepts Group. That's Erica and Eric Dee, siblings. We were just talking about this before the break.
Yeah.
How do you settle, I wouldn't say arguments, but different, how should we say, theories about business? Eric?
So, operationally, my dad keeps us away from each other.
He
have
says,
different
he says
offices.
we're all alphas. so
We're
you have
alphas,
to,
we cannot belong
yeah.
in one. It's too much. So, operationally...
I can tell, I was in your father's birthday. Yeah.
So operationally, we had different business units for the family.
Okay.
Right? So we don't interject. But in certain times that we do have to discuss things or work together, it pretty much also, fun fact, we live together. Right?
Yes, they do, everywhere,
So our
actually.
daily dinners, our daily trips, or our restaurant outs together kind of feels like a mini board meeting that
Correct.
looks at it on a macro perspective. We give opinions on the business about each other, and we take that and see if we can execute it in our own.
What about you,
businesses.
Erica? I mean, do you feel like, these living together and eating, breathing,
Oh my God, I love
living
it.
business? You love it?
I love it. It's shocking for some people to know, but we love spending time together. So
No, I see your dynamic. I mean,
we actually love spending
can
time
attest
together.
to that.
So
Yeah.
24/7. So actually, every night we have dinner discussions. So it's noisy, fun, but sometimes that's where we get our best ideas from.
Right.
But as my dad said, we're all alphas. So what he did was he separated each one in each business unit. Yeah.
So there's no overlapping, of course. Like for example, Eric will tell you, "Oh, sister, Erica, I think I went to the mall and I saw what's happening there."
Oh,
and
we do that. We actually do that.
So you do your check-in audits
with each other.
With each other, yes.
But do not cross over to the operational side.
Correct. So what we do is when I do my rounds in a specific mall, I check all the brands, not just my brand. I check my brother's brands, even Sunny's. So I take photos and then I send it to the groups, and they will decide, or they will fix it on their own, right? The only time we interlap is maybe when we have a new brand, because it's all hands on deck.
Brainstorming, making
correct.
sure
How are we
works.
going to create this brand? What is our positioning for this brand? Everyone is aware and kind of put all their inputs in the table and kind of figure out the direction of that brand.
What about your other siblings? What do they operate?
So Eric, the other Eric operates Sunny Studios.
Yes.
Oh, that one, we work together naman for Sunny's Cafe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is a Foodie and Sunny's joint venture, Sunny's Cafe, that we just reopened again in BGC. So that one, I work very closely with my brother. Try to stay a little bit distant still, because we're both alphas in one room. So,
yes, but your rooms are beside each other. So okay.
And then my other sister, also the other Erica,
the other Erica,
handles the retail. So she brought in Editor's Market from Singapore, and she has sustainable fashion as well.
I love it. And, there's going to be, obviously, you have kids and, your partners. In some families, okay, generational operations or passing on the baton, sometimes they don't include the in-laws.
Yeah.
Is this
same
with the family? It's a rule, right? Of course, because your in-laws should have their own kingdom as well,
Yes,
right?
correct.
What about your children? Are you preparing the third gen to be part of the business?
Similar to what my dad has done with us all the time, we try to bring them with us to work.
Okay,
so
they're
that
growing
early
up
exposure lang on just, not necessarily they'll end up in the restaurant business.
Yes.
With the kids nowadays, they kind of want to explore their own kind of like passions, right? So they might not join the food industry, but at least the foundations of knowing that, just working in general, right? Like us, when we were with our fathers, my father would bring us to the business and the restaurant. So it felt very natural to us to work. And it didn't feel like, oh, how am I going to work for the first time? So we felt very comfortable. So that's how we kind of slowly train them to at least be exposed to this.
Although they're still very young. It's going to be a few more
very young.
They go there
decades.
and grab a piece of French fries.
Yes. Have you tried every single item on your menu?
Yes.
Every single one?
Yes.
That's a lot.
Look at our weight.
It shows.
I don't know how you keep it tight. What about you, Eric?
Definitely. So I would always say that nothing goes on the menu that hasn't gone through our mouths.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it
All
happens
of us,
on a
actually,
weekly thing. It's food tasting. Whether it goes on the menu or not, we have the final say up until it gets to the menu. And after that, we try it again. So I always tell the story that sometimes, when we bring in a brand, it used to be my favorite food. So I used to love burgers. And then after you open a burger place, I'm going to be like, no more burgers for me for now. So always, everything goes through our mouths, and it's defined by that.
How much effort does Ricky, your father, still have in the company? I mean, obviously, he's given you the very high titles and responsibilities. Out of 100, how much is he still involved in your dailies?
He calls me every day.
But you live together.
So he calls me every day. We live together. We're one floor apart. Our office is also put together.
Oh my God.
So he's involved. He's very involved still.
So out of 100, he's 50%.
I'm going to retire soon, but he's not.
Yeah. He would say that I'm retiring soon. But he would take photos when he does rounds. He'd take a photo of our store. He's like, oh, why is it like this?
But that's his form of retirement.
Yeah.
You guys deal with the paperwork.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you guys my concerns. I am now managing digitally. Talking about managing digitally, have you guys moved over to AI or any of those digital platforms or machineries to help, run your 800 plus outlets?
Definitely. So we focus a lot now on analytics, right?
Okay.
A lot of the times during the times of the dot matrix printers, they would take a tape reading of all the items per sale, take that number, put it in an Excel
I don't remember
sheet.
that. I'm 35, so I have no idea.
So those times were they were more focused on the medial work of transferring data from one place to the other. Now with data analytics, they can focus more on analyzing what the problem of the restaurant is based on the numbers, and it's easier to identify. So we focus on that. We have CCTVs also that we've worked with to track pilferage.
Yes,
There's
of
a lot
course,
of
it's very
pilferage
important.
and stealing. So,
Yeah.
So
that's
it's kind
like-
of like a CCTV with AI.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
correct.
that's amazing. I'm gonna talk to you guys about that off cam. But what about equipment? Have you guys gone high tech? I mean, you're obviously you have to have commissaries, and of course for quality. Have you guys moved over to the next gen equipment?
well, Erica's Yao Yao machines
Yeah.
are multi-million peso
Correct,
machines.
multi-million. So that's the biggest investment for a Yao Yao store is actually their machines.
Yes, because
So-
you don't need a commissary because it's on
No,
site.
actually, we have the biggest warehouse in the business
group.
group.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of our stocks come from Spain.
Everything's
So we
from
do
Spain.
have a big warehouse.
Okay, what about your operations, Eric?
Well, for us, it's mostly the equipment. So equipment upgrades, like our ovens that produce the pork buns, are multi-millions as well.
Of course, of course.
There's ovens right now that can pretty much do the whole sequence of the cooking, and that's where we invest into, and more to make it easier.
Yeah.
Right?
What about flavors? Because when your parents started out Chin Chin, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Of course, the quality of cooking and the method of cooking was different then than now, right? Do you still have old school traditional cooking methods for the OG restaurants?
I think that's why we were put into play, is to make the brands younger.
Okay, nice. But when of course very valid and strong opinions regarding how to operate and capture markets, obviously. Did your parents have in the beginning like a little bit of pushback with, wait a minute, I know about this, I started this this very successful company, what, you can't tell me this.
It's a little bit of a challenge, of course, with the older generation. But you know what? I started in our family business with my dad actually giving me the project of digitalization.
Nice. So
Yeah.
he recognized that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's go very quickly with some of my questions. Best investment ever.
Yao yao.
Best investment ever.
Foodie.
Foodie. Okay. Worst investment ever.
Oh, none yet so far. Thank you.
Really? Zero.
Thank you for that, though.
Zero. Not even a bag or a pair of shoes. Okay, good. Eric.
I think my sneaker collection that I'm not wearing anymore.
Actually, that can be a very good investment. What about your biggest mistake, Erica?
Biggest mistake. Wow, that's very hard. You go first.
I should have married my wife sooner.
Oh, wow.
Diba?
Okay, he gets
Punchline.
points today. Nice. Okay, back to you.
I guess. Well, I would have joined the business even earlier, much earlier.
So the biggest mistake is you didn't join earlier.
Yeah. I'd like to really kind of learn from my dad.
Yes.
From the very start, like see him grow
How it
the
all
business.
began.
Yeah, how it all began.
Yes. But thank you guys for being on the show
Well,
this
thank you,
morning.
thank
Your family is an inspiration because not only with work, with bonding time, and even living together, I mean, it works for you. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope a lot of families enjoy that kind of bonding that you have.
Thank you.
All right. And that is it for today's show. I'm Ferdi Salvador. Catch the Bilyonaryo News channel on Free TV channel 31 and on cable via Cignal channel 24. Thanks for watching the Bilyonaryo News channel. Always on top.